You are listening to the 90 Days Later podcast with Anna Charles, episode 179. Welcome to the 90 Days Later podcast, where we talk about what really happens when you take a break from drinking. And it turns out to be the best thing you've ever done. I'm Anna, coach to high achievers who are done waking up with regret and ready to feel in control around alcohol. If you've ever wondered what your life could look like with less wine and more you're in the right place. Hello all and welcome back to the podcast. All right, today we're going to be getting into what probably for many of you will be a really familiar pattern. We're going to be talking about a pattern that sneaks in so smoothly you might not even notice it at first. I am talking about that classic little thought, one more won't hurt. And in fact, I have titled this podcast Tackling One More Won't Hurt, because I really think these 4 words warrant their own episode. I think they warrant being tackled by all of us. Now tell me, how many times have you heard yourself say that? Maybe out loud, maybe just in your head, maybe somebody else has said it to you when you've said no to a drink and then you've promptly agreed with them. This is the thought that usually pops up right when everything's feeling good. Right? That tends to be when it happens. You start the night with the best of intentions, and maybe you've told yourself, look, I'm just going to have 1 glass tonight or 2 max, right? That's your plan. And for a while you stick to that. But after that first drink, or even after that second drink, right, when you've hit what your goal was, when you're feeling relaxed and maybe feeling buzzy, there it is. That sneaky little thought, go on, just 1 more, it won't hurt. This thought feels harmless. It's kind of almost like a little wink from your brain, like go on. And the first time you hear it, you might even agree, yeah, why not? 1 more's no big deal. And you may even reinforce that by remembering maybe what a good job you did today or how much you deserve it. Right? It'll sort of bring along all its family of thoughts to back it up. But in essence, we're dealing with the 1 more won't hurt. Now let's get really honest for a second. After you have that thought, what usually happens? Well, first you'd pour another, and then surprise, surprise. What can also happen is that same thought pops up again. This is nice. 1 more won't hurt. Maybe we even think, I already had 1, I already broke my plan, so what difference will another make, right? 1 more won't hurt. And by now you know that pattern, that 1 more thought, it really doesn't show up just once, usually. It'll keep coming back. And here's the sneaky thing, every time it shows up, it still feels reasonable. It just seems so gentle. What we don't tend to do is really stop to add up how many 1 mores you've had tonight. You're just living drink to drink. So let's zoom out. Let's say you've told yourself 1 more won't hurt 3 times in a night. That's 3 extra drinks on top of the 1 or 2 you planned for. Now, if I asked you at the start of the night, hey, do you want to have 5 drinks tonight? You'd probably say, oh gosh, no. Right, that would feel way too much. But because those drinks sneak in 1 by 1, it doesn't feel that way at the time. The brain is clever like that. So here's a little thought experiment for you. I want you to imagine if you sat down and said to yourself right away, before even starting, I'm going to have 3 more tonight. I'm guessing you'd probably pause and think, wait, what? No way. No, that's not what I'm aiming for. But when it's broken down into tiny decisions 1 by 1, it flies under the radar. That's the trap of just 1 more, or 1 more won't hurt. And here's why this happens. After a drink or 2, your buzzed brain is the one making the decisions, right? This is your lizard brain at work, the pleasure-seeking, pleasure-desiring version of your brain, not the clear-minded version of you who wants the best for you who knows that they don't want to be drinking so much tonight because you want to just go have a good night's sleep, right? Not the version of you who had that plan earlier. This is so important. Right? We get so confused by this, but it is so simple. Your brain loves to reward itself. Your brain also loves to avoid discomfort. So when the idea of stopping feels a little bit disappointing, your brain is going to rush in with a solution, right? It's going to say, just one more won't hurt, right? Because we're feeling disappointed because we come to the end of our plan and we're thinking, blah. People tell me, blah, it's not going to feel so nice. So we rush in with a solution. Oven ready, as Boris Johnson would say. This is an oven ready solution. And you know what? Yeah, it feels nice in the moment. It keeps things easy. It smooths over that uncomfortable gap between wanting to stop and wanting to keep going, right? Because there's that juncture, right? That point. Now let's take a moment for some self-kindness here. So for some compassion. When that one more won't hurt thought shows up, it's so easy to feel annoyed with ourselves, right? You might think, oh, why do I keep doing this? Or why can't I just stop at 1 or 2 like I planned? Why do I always say one more won't hurt? I know it's not true. That's what people tell me. Logically, I know it's true, but here it is again. I'm in that one more won't hurt phase again. But here's really what I want you to hear. That thought is not a sign that you're weak or that you're failing. You'll never get this. And you may have heard this before, but I want you to really take this on board. Imagine how this would feel if you could just believe that it isn't because you're weak. That thought, it's really just your brain trying to look after you. Your brain is doing what it's meant to do. It's keeping you in the habit that feels safe and familiar, right? If you think about security and survival, we go towards what feels safe and familiar. This is what we've learned through all the thousands and thousands of years of evolution. And especially if you ever felt a bit panicky or a bit frustrated or a bit edgy when you say no to yourself, right? That's not going to feel safe. It's not going to feel familiar. So your brain will have stepped in the past and say, it's fine, come on, just one more. Right? Just brings the pressure down a little bit because it wants you to feel good again. This is not sabotage. This is protection. But just because your brain is trying to help, that doesn't mean it's making the best choice for you. It's just repeating a pattern that you have established that we then say, yeah, when I do the drink thing, then I feel good in the moment. But now I've decided I want something different. I've decided that isn't serving me. Right, but the brain isn't on board with that. Right, so if that's what we're dealing with, what is your kind of like your power move here? Right, one of the things I cover so much with my clients is this sense of having full agency over ourselves. Right, we really have a sense of agency. So what is your agency move here? Your power move? Well, the first step is very simple. It is awareness. I just want you to notice the thought. There it is. One more won't hurt, and name it for what it is. This is not you sabotaging yourself. This is your brain offering up comfort in the form of a habit. And then, and this is where it gets really powerful, you can thank your brain for trying to help. Right? And calmly and kindly say, we're not doing that anymore. It's kind of like the way I might have talked to my children. In fact, this is exactly the same, right? We're talking to our toddler brain. We're not doing that anymore. No, we're not doing that anymore. We're not having that screaming fit for the chocolate. We're just not doing that anymore. Come on. Right? We can be very neutral about it. This is such a small sentence, but it's a game changer. You say it to other people, you can say it to yourself. You're not arguing with yourself, right? You're not getting into a fight in your head. You are simply closing that door and moving on. We're not doing that anymore. When I say that, I feel so solid in myself, right? It really becomes a non-negotiable. And here's the thing. This doesn't just happen when you're home alone, because I see this a lot. The typical use case on this is I'm home alone. Oh, I'm so bored. It's tedious. I'm feeling a bit meh, as the youngsters would say. Right? One drink won't hurt. But this can happen when you're out with friends at a dinner party, or a restaurant, or a bar, some corporate thing, right? So let's go there. You've had your planned 2 glasses. You're feeling great, right? Not only because you've had the drinks, you like the drink, you like the taste, all those other reasons that we tell ourselves, but also, you've done your plan, and then someone offers you a top up. Oh, come on, just one more. That's when your brain double teams with them. It jumps on board with them. Yeah, one more won't hurt. It's a party. Accompanied by other thoughts like live a little, you only live once, got to make the most of it, right? All those other thoughts that get brought along. So we want to be aware of that. But you can use the same strategy here that we just spoke about, right? You can smile, thank them, and in your head you remind yourself, look, we're not saying that anymore. And then you can also prepare maybe a breezy response to them. You can prepare it in advance. Often helps. In time you won't need it, but I really find it helps to just have something pre-prepared. This is no different. And when people sort of get a bit judgmental on that, well, why should I have to think of a response, or why should I have to practice it? Does that not mean I have a problem? If it helps you, do it. If you go into a job interview, you're probably going to be thinking in advance, what are they going to ask me? Right? You're not going to consider for the first time, oh, they're asking me about what are my thoughts on whatever, XYZ, right? Communication with working at home people. You're going to have thought this in advance. So the same thing here. We're going to think this in advance. We're going to prepare ourselves. And then maybe we come up with something, light and breezy. No, I'm fine, thanks. Thanks, though. I'm good. This keeps things light. It shows you're in control. It's no big drama. And trust me, people will follow your lead when you're calm and clear. If you show a little, oh, should I, shouldn't I? Then they're going to double down on that, as your brain is going to triple down on that. I want you to think about that. But most people, if they care for you and if they're people you care about, they really won't mind. They'll respect your decision. And if somebody doesn't respect your decision, well, that's on them. Now, listen, you might also be thinking, okay, Anna, but what if it feels impossible in the moment? What if I know the right thing to say, but I'm still pulled to accepting another or pouring another? Great question. I have the thing for you. I have another oven ready solution for you. I have created a free guide. It's called 3 Fast Fixes for That I Deserve It Glass of Wine. Now, I know today we're talking about the one more won't hurt thought, but honestly, these 2 thoughts are really cousins. They're related. They're both just different ways your brain tries to justify another drink. And this guide is not just tips. I actually break down why. I give you a tip and a solution and why it works, right? I give you strategies for those really hard moments when it feels impossible to stop. And I also share some real client insights so you can see how others have handled the same thing. That is a beautiful thing. You're listening to this. You're in my corner of the internet. You are not going it alone. You're not going first. I'm giving you tried and tested strategies to use. Now listen, this guide is totally free. You can grab it now. It'll be in the show notes. I'll put a link in there. So do check the show notes for that. I highly recommend you download it and keep it handy for the next time that little voice shows up. So here's what I want to leave you with today. The next time you hear that familiar whisper, one more won't hurt, you'll know exactly what's going on. You'll understand why it's happening, and you'll have a simple, clear way to answer back. We're not saying that anymore. And remember, just by listening to this episode and thinking this through, you've already taken a leap forward. You're seeing the pattern. You're going to notice the pattern. You're making a plan. That alone puts you ahead of the game, puts you a little bit ahead of your brain, your lizard brain in that moment. You've got this. Really, every time you catch that sneaky thought and hold your boundary, you're proving to yourself just how powerful and capable you are, just how much agency you have. And honestly, that's badass. That's fantastic. Now listen, remember what I said earlier. You are not alone in this. You have found me. You're very welcome to my little corner of the internet. You could sit and listen to all of my podcasts, do what I say, and you would get your desired result. But that will take you time, lots of time, right? Lots of listening, practicing, and following through. if you want to get to your result fast, if you want the streamlined plan that will work for you, because remember, we're all a little bit different in this, you need to work with me one-on-one. When we have our initial discovery call, where you'll tell me where you are, I'll tell you how I could help you and what it would take for you to get that result. I will streamline it. I will strip it back. I will simplify it, right? So that you're making progress week by week, day by day by day. I work with people who are ready to go for it, who are ready to do it, who are ready to jump in, because life on the other side is so amazing. I want you to imagine waking up, not just feeling good about where you are with alcohol, but not having to think, oh my gosh, I've got to sort that out, right? It stops becoming a task that you have to do because you'll have done it. If that's what you want, if you're one of those people, book a discovery call with me. The link is in the show notes, or you can go to 90dayslater.co and click on book a call. And remember, that first call is free. Otherwise, I will see you next week. If this episode hit home and you're ready to explore what life could look like with alcohol in the back seat, let's talk. I work with people one-on-one who are ready to create the relationship with alcohol that works for them, so they feel powerful in their choices and at peace with their habits. Go to 90dayslater.co and click on book a call, or grab one of the free guides in the show notes to this episode. And if this podcast is helping you, a rating or review goes a long way to help others find this work too.